I think Southeast Queensland is set for another property boom. And in this video, I'm going to break down my personal thoughts and opinions as to why. Now, when we make an investment decision when it comes to property, we should make an educated and informed decision. Now, what does that actually mean? As a professional buyer's agent running the buyer's agency here at Purpose Property, with my 7 staff and my managers and my associates, we look at both the quantitative and the qualitative data. Now, when it comes to Southeast Queensland, what we're seeing in terms of the data and the boots on the ground experience is that property prices are going to rise significantly here in Brisbane and Greater Brisbane over the next 6 to 12 months significantly. We can see that groundswell through the deals we're actively buying and the competition we're seeing in the market, as well as what the data is telling us around the price changes over 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months in a lot of the suburbs we're looking at and prioritizing at this point in time. You might be asking yourself, hasn't the Brisbane market had its run though? Some of those locations are up 50%, 100%, 130% since 2020. And the honest answer is that is true. The property market has grown so significantly the last few years, especially with all the money printing through the COVID period. But the reality is, I don't think the inflation of our monetary system is going to change, and that money printing is going to keep happening, and the dollar is going to keep devaluing against hard assets, which is why I personally invest in real estate. It's because I understand how real estate works. I understand that I can put my name on the title, that I can add value through a renovation, that I can strata title or add a granny flat to boost the cash flow or subdivide over the long term with the right styles of deals. And so because I understand hard assets in terms of the real estate market, that's why I've chosen it as my vehicle. The property market also has that leverage piece where you and the person next to you and the guy at work next to you, they're chatting with their family about how they can buy their own home and they want to buy in a more affluent area or move up in the market. Or if they're an investor, they're looking at the affordability and the cash flow. And so the reality is that the lower price properties, the $600,000 to $1 million price properties in the next 6 to 12 months are likely to have faster growth or a higher rate of growth than those $1 to $2 to $3 million assets. And this is really down to that affordability piece. It's that ripple effect going through its third phase. Essentially, all the ripple effect is you've got your inner Brisbane region, your New Farms, your Cooperoos, your Woolloongabas, your Indooroopillies. These are suburbs located 2 to 3 to 4 kilometres from Brisbane CBD. And they had the strongest growth 5-6 years ago. Then we had the middle ring starting to grow significantly based off those more expensive areas growing. Now we've got the outer ring, the third phase of that ripple effect really coming through. And it's because we're seeing the uplift in first home buyer and investor activity. Investors are driving the market at the moment. There is a greater percentage of investors buying, and there may be some ASIC crackdowns to either reduce the lending policies towards investors, or we may see the government step in with changes. But the reality is there is going to continue to be demand for property here in Southeast Queensland, which is why a few months ago, when I had about $1.5 million to spend, I put it back into the Brisbane market. Now, yes, you've got to take everything I say as a Brisbane buyer's agent and a Brisbane investor with a grain of salt, because I currently own 6 houses worth around $8 million here in the Southeast Queensland market. The reason I'm staking so much of my own capital and net worth in this market is I see the potential over the next 1, 3, 5, 7 years. When we look at what happened in Sydney in the 2000s and what happened in terms of property prices over that 3-4 year period leading up and just after the Olympic Games, Brisbane's trajectory is so strong. We've got massive infrastructure projects, cross river rails, bus network upgrades, stadium upgrades, road upgrades. The highways across Southeast Queensland are being widened. Coomera connectors down to the Gold Coast, light rail networks, the list goes on. There's project after project after project. And there's lack of builders and lack of trades to actually deliver on all of these projects, as well as deliver on housing supply in Southeast Queensland. And the markets that we're focusing in as Brisbane buyers agents are these established areas. Where I bought, for example, in Bundamba in Ipswich City Council was an affordable price point with larger land sizes, walking to the train station and flood-free blocks with development potential. Now, you can't expect to get every single thing ticked in your property purchase, But if you can get those major boxes ticked in terms of what you're looking for in terms of a deal, in terms of land size and location and the value proposition, that's what's very important to the bigger piece of your property puzzle. And that's exactly how Emily and I were able to grow the property from 0 to 3 million, 3 million to 5 million, 5 million to 7 million, and now sitting close to that $10 million price point, depending on the bank versus market valuations of the property portfolio. And so look at your own situation. Should you be buying in Melbourne right now? Should you be buying in Darwin? Should you be buying in Brisbane? It's going to come down to your personal strategy and what type of investor you are. I'm a mid to long-term investor. I don't tend to want to speculate on the market growth over the next 6 to 12 months, even though I think Brisbane is going to be a front runner in terms of price growth over the next 6 to 12 months compared to the other major cities and even the major metro markets. The reason I'm buying in Brisbane is not that short-term growth. The reason I'm putting my money here is I'm investing for the next 5, 7, 10 years. And I look at property prices today in 2025, and I look at property prices in 2032. Once we've had that Olympic infrastructure come through, once we've had the world realize that Brisbane is a major city here in Australia with lifestyle and sunny weather and access to a Sunshine Coast and a Gold Coast, and all of that coming together is going to put a spotlight on this city and this region. And so I'm looking at the growth potential of the deals I'm buying right now and seeing where I think they'll be in 2032. And that's what gives me so much confidence to have 6 houses here in the Southeast Queensland market. If you look at the spread of my property portfolio, I own 1 asset in Moreton Bay in a suburb called Bray Park. I then have 2 houses in Brisbane City Council. I then own a property in Logan, and then I own 2 houses in Ipswich. So I've got a spread of 6 houses across 4 city councils here in Brisbane. And that means I'm diversified. I'm not putting all my eggs into one suburb or one basket. I'm spreading 6 deals across the Southeast Queensland region at different price points, at different affordability levels, and most of the deals I'm buying have some upside potential. For example, the Bray Park project I finished had a granny flat added to that property for around $220,000, which is now renting for $395 a week. The other deals I own in Logan and in Ipswich, for example, are development projects where I'm adding large secondary dwellings, a 3-bed, 2-bath home and 4-bed, 2-bath homes on the other sites to boost the value of the properties because there's big value uplift or equity creation by going through those projects, as well as they're more affordable. So when I strata or subdivide these assets over the long term, I'll be able to sell them to first home buyers or investors at the more affordable price points. So that's exactly what I'm doing in this Southeast Queensland market, and that's exactly what we're seeing with the quantitative and the qualitative data as a Brisbane buyer's agent and a specialist here in this greater Brisbane region. So if you are looking to buy your first home or buy an investment property and you are wanting help, then head over to purposeproperty.com.au. I run a full service buyer's agency with myself, 2 managers and 5 associates buying across 6 councils here in Southeast Queensland. So head over to purposeproperty.com.au to book in a free strategy session where you can chat with myself and then we can talk about how we can help you make that next property purchase. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Is Southeast Queensland priming up for another property boom period? Let me know and give this video a click right here because YouTube thinks this is the one you should watch next. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.